What's wrong?
Please, no.
What would it be like to be a regular person living inside the Mandela Catalogue? I'll give you the short version. You are absolutely fucked. It is death by 1 million paper cuts. It is death by swallowing 1,000 pin needles with no milk. God, Jesus, that would actually hurt. You are cooked. You are living in hell itself, and nothing is coming to save you, because in this world, your God is actually... Hold on. I'm getting ahead of myself. We'll get to that part later, because there's a dark reality in living in this world that most people who have broken down this series have never even talked about. I'm going to give you a fresh new perspective, and no, it's not the alternate. It is much deeper and it's much darker. So today we are going inside the world of the Mandela Catalogue from a civilian's perspective, relying on your own survival instincts in a place where the systems you were taught to trust your whole life, the ones that you believed in, quietly stop protecting you. Or maybe they were never built to protect you at all. Picture this. You got a job, neighbors, a normal life. You watch the news, and at some point, the news starts talking about something strange. Reports of people who look exactly like other people. Doppelgangers. The government calls them alternates. What the? Here's how they package it for the public. PSAs, public service announcements, calm voice, clean graphics, simple message. Alternates exist, they're dangerous, stay alert, and run if you see one. They even put out something called the Think Principle, which is a step-by-step protocol for civilians when they encounter an alternate, which is step 1, tell an authority figure. Step 2, slow the alternate down. Step 3, identify the type. And step 4, neutralize if it's safe to do so. Now on paper, that sounds like a solid plan, but in real life, it isn't. It plays almost exactly like those duck and cover infomercials from the Cold War, telling kids to hide under a desk in case of a nuclear strike. Nobody actually believed a wooden desk would stop a bomb. It wasn't a survival plan. It was something to hand people so they stop asking questions, so that they can make themselves feel safe. The Think Principle serves the same purpose. Whoever wrote it already knew it wouldn't save anyone. They'd already seen what the alternates could do, but they released it anyway. And the goal was never protection. It was keeping the public calm. This is where it gets uncomfortable, because the guide tells you to identify the type of alternate you're facing. Once you actually look at what those types are, the weight of this world completely lands differently. 4 types of alternates exist in the Mandela Catalogue world. Type 1, the doppelganger, a near perfect copy of someone you know, basically impossible to spot. Type 2, something the government keeps almost entirely off the record, barely mentioned in public materials. We'll get back to that one later. Type 3, these are the flawed copies, wrong proportions, missing features, limbs stretched too long, faces that don't sit right. Now type 4, the final one, the Tulpa, which was willed into existence through human imagination, usually a child's imagination, believed to manifest through televisions and mirrors. Your best friend of 20 years calls you on the phone. He wants you to come over, but wait, you just left this house an hour ago. Why does he want you to come back over when you just left? He needs your help, something to do with his mom. Now you're not going to deny your friend. He's your friend, for Christ's sakes, for 20 years. So what do? You do what every other good friend would do. You go over to his house, and when you go there, you meet your friend, except something is a little bit off. Your friend starts saying strange and terrible things to you about you, and this incomprehensible things that he says shatters your sanity, causes you to have severe paranoia, hallucinations that ultimately leads you to end your own life. That's the power of the alternates in the Mandela Catalogue. How do you identify something wearing your best friend's face? Something that knows your inside jokes, your history, every detail of your life only someone close to you would know. You can't. And when someone you love calls for your help, your brain doesn't run a classification check. You just go and help. And unfortunately, you going to help will be your own demise. Like they say, no good deed goes unpunished. Okay, that was a bad joke. The only warning you get is a feeling. Half a second of wrongness your brain flags and it immediately talks you out of, because that's what a reasonable person does with a feeling like that. And in Mandela County, being reasonable is what gets you killed. You can't spend your life being suspicious of everyone you love, not knowing if they're real or if they're just an alternate trying to kill you. Nobody can function that way. You know how much stress and paranoia that would bring a person? That would kill you prematurely. So the alternates don't just hurt your body, they hurt your ability to trust anything anyone. And the longer you stay in this world, the more that trust erodes until you're sitting alone in your apartment, not answering the phone, not opening the door, avoiding eye contact with your own neighbor. You are completely isolated, which is exactly the position they want you in. You can't trust faces around you. You can't trust your own screens. You can't trust the phone when it rings, and the paranoia alone would break most people. But the paranoia isn't even the sharpest part of the blade. Remember earlier how I brought up how your friend starts saying strange things and terrible things about you when you go over to try to help him? So much so that it drives you to self-deletion? The alternates aren't just after your sense of physical safety. They are after your mind, and they've got something built specifically to attack your mind. There's a condition in the Mandela Catalogue called Metaphysical Awareness Disorder, also known as MAD. 97% mortality rate. With self-deletion as the main cause of death, it doesn't hit you all at once. First, you feel off, disconnected, something's wrong, and you can't name that feeling. An alternate finds one specific piece of information, one truth your mind isn't built to hold, and delivers it to you directly. Loss of sanity follows, insomnia, crushing paranoia, urges you can't reason your way out of, and once you know it, you can't unknow it, and your mind starts coming apart from there. That story that I brought up with a friend, I made it sound like it was quick, that you get there, your friend starts saying crazy stuff to you, you go crazy, and you automatically want to delete yourself. But no, it's a long drawn out process, and there's no escaping it, because once it affects your mind, you slowly descend into madness. It could take days, it could take maybe even a week, until the only way out is to take yourself off the board. Now, there are 3 simple rules to prevent the symptoms of MAD, which is stay away from religious practice, stay away from deep philosophical thoughts, and stay close to the people you love. Now, that all sounds manageable until you sit with what those rules actually demand. Religion is how most people make sense of loss, and in this world, that instinct is a death sentence. Curiosity is everywhere. The person who reads too late into the night, the one who asks too many questions, and here, that curiosity kills you too. And staying close to loved ones sounds like an easy one, so you remember your loved ones can be replaced without you even knowing it. The person you're leaning on for stability might not be that person at all anymore. 3 rules, not a good option among them. That's the daily life in Mandela County. You can't fight MAD, you can't outrun it, you can't prepare for it, because you won't know your breaking point until something finds it for you. The government documented all this, published it on papers, and still left out the one detail that mattered the most. The only real way to survive an encounter with an alternate was to never engage one at all, which is nearly impossible when you don't even know that the thing is even standing right in front of you. It doesn't matter how many PSAs you watch, how many times you try to arm yourself with defense mechanisms against these alternates. Once you encounter one, there's truly almost no way of survival. But as a civilian, you would never know that. So you can't trust your neighbors, you can't trust your screens, you can't trust your own thoughts. The only thing left holding you together is belief that if things get bad, somebody will come to help you. However, that belief was never true to begin with, because in the Mandela County Police Department, there is no help. Not the case files, not the investigations, what its existence actually means for the civilians trying to survive in this world. Some things inside your house that's not supposed to be there. What do? You call the police. That's the deal everyone assumes they're getting. Pay your taxes, follow the rules, and when something threatens you, a police officer shows up. It's not like that in Mandela County, and actually, it's much darker. 911 operators, the one who are supposed to facilitate the police to come and help you, were trained by the same very police to ignore distress calls involving alternates and not to send help. Dispatchers were ordered to lie to victims, assuring them that help was on the way until they stopped screaming. The department's protocol determined that fighting these supernatural threats was completely not worth the risk. Yo, this is messed up. Your entire survival plan rests on the assumption that help arrives when things get bad enough. And honestly, I think what's worse than knowing that help isn't coming is believing that help is coming and that it never shows up. If you encounter an alternate in this world, you are fucked. because no one is coming to save you. By the way, nothing can kill these things. Not a gun, not a knife, not anything that we know so far in the series. But let's say you do everything right. You barricade your house, you isolate yourselves. You are still watching those public service announcements to stay up to date on safety protocols on how to defend against these creatures. It comes to your door, it knocks, it's trying to talk to you. You say, nope, you're not letting it in. You think you're safe, right? Right? Wrong. Because there's another way this thing can get to you. And it's right in your living room, and it's also in your bathroom. In this world, the television isn't a screen, and the mirrors aren't just reflection. They are doors, windows, and eventually the government figured that out. Specifically, an entity known as the Intruder began using screens and mirrors to stalk individuals and use it to abduct thousands of children. And I thought Pennywise was bad. In response, the United States Department of Temporal Phenomena issued the television and mirror destruction order to eliminate the primary portals these entities use to access the real world and target victims. So wait, not only do you have to worry about your own safety, but you have to worry about these things coming for your children, the one person that any good parent would die for. But wait, it gets worse, because these things can use TVs, mirrors, and other reflective items to act as gateways to get to you and kill you. This thing is OP. You are screwed in this world. Do you know how hard it is to destroy your television and your mirror? That's not realistic at all. People are going to sneak away and still watch TV and use their mirrors, which is only going to act as a back door for these creatures to come in and kill you. Go back to what television actually meant when it first showed up in people's homes. It was trust. It was a way to bring families together. It told you what was happening in the world, what counted as dangerous, what counted as normal. It shaped belief on a scale nothing before it ever had. It defined culture. Asking the general human population not to have a TV is like having Americans stop arguing on the internet. It's never gonna happen. Would you guys destroy your TVs, mirrors, laptops, iPads, cell phones, whatever, just to keep yourself safe from these things? Mirrors, maybe. TVs? Come on now. And let's just be real here. While some of us may do it, a lot of us are not gonna do it. TV is a huge part of who we are. And unfortunately, the alternates have exploited that in order to get to us. And as a civilian, you would ask yourself, where did these creatures come from? Are they aliens? Are they monsters? Why are they here? What do they want? What is their purpose? You sure you want to know the answer to that question? Because this is where the grim reality of this world really starts to set in. The Mandela Catalogue reaches all the way back to biblical times. Yes, I said it, biblical times. The entity known as the false shepherd, also known as Gabriel, didn't show up one day and started causing trouble. He is Lucifer in disguise, and guess what? This nigga won. It defeated God, sealed heaven shut, took the throne, and wore the face of the divine, confident that nobody would never know the difference. The first move it made after winning wasn't destruction. It was building a church. It spoke through Gabriel's voice, delivered messages of hope and salvation, and humanity, desperate for meaning, desperate for something bigger than itself, a higher purpose, accepted every word of it. Picture a regular person who goes to church every Sunday, praying through fear, through sickness, through grief, asking for forgiveness, needing to understand the world, needing to believe that something out there, a higher power, was actually listening. And something was listening, just not what anyone assumed. Every prayer sent up, every moment of real faith was aimed straight at the thing that had been sending the alternates to kill you. Civilians in this world are unknowingly directing their worship to Satan. In this world, Christians worship Satan. God, that is darkly ironic. Metaphysical awareness disorder is caused by learning information desired to be unknown. I believe that the forbidden information is the realization that God has been overthrown, heaven is empty, and that human life is completely pointless, and that humanity is completely unprotected on a cosmic scale. Gabriel used the Mandela prophet to record false scriptures and records. This ensured that humanity's religious institutions, churches, would unknowingly salt in this grand strategy, making the population compliant and terrified when the entities finally manifested in Wisconsin. Oh, and he also locked away Jesus, preventing him from being reborn. How do you fight against this? How are you supposed to live in this world? This is crazy. You don't stand a heaven's chance as a civilian. Gabriel is slowly wiping out humanity with psychological warfare. There is no hope. There is no God in this world. How do you win? Spoiler alert, you don't win. And as a civilian, you don't know that any of this is really happening. You are fighting against something that is beyond human comprehension. Just imagine waking up every day surrounded by faces you can't fully trust. A phone that might be a setup to get you killed by an alternate. A television that was never just a television, but a gateway for these things to attack you. Following every rule, watching every PSA, calling 911 and trusting the voice on the other end, a voice trained to keep you calm and never sends help at all. The alternates are terrifying. Mad is terrifying. The false shepherd sitting at the top of it all, the entity that beat God, sealed Jesus away, and spent centuries building worship around itself, goes beyond terrifying. Every institution people leaned on to make sense of this world in order to get through this chaos was built by the very thing that seeks to destroy them. This is the grim and very bleak reality of living as a civilian in this world. You're not just up against monsters. You're up against a world that was built to work against you before you were even brought into it in the first place. You are a casualty of a system, and the system was never broken. It worked exactly as intended, and the worst part is that you never know it. The bleakness of being a civilian in this world just is perplexing to me, because there's no way that you can survive this. The Mandela Catalogue is just phase 1 of the false shepherd's plan, a tutorial of what's going to happen to the rest of the world once this phase proves to be successful. And this leaves a very haunting question that has been hanging over my head when making this. And maybe this is a question that a civilian would have if they ever discovered the truth of this world. What's the point of being born into this world if you are only ever brought here to suffer? That's it for me, guys. I really enjoyed making this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Please like, comment, subscribe. What do you guys think is the worst part of living in this world? And what would you actually do if you were stuck in it? Please let me know. I'll see you guys next time.